Hey, welcome to Let's Unravel, and I'm your friend Christina. So, hot take, ABC Family was elite television, and Freeform, well, it will never compare. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and I'll let you know my thoughts at the end of this episode. So, thanks for stopping by. Whether you're a new listener or a friend of the show, I just wanted to say welcome. So, guys, how you doing? How you holding up with winter? Is winter starting to get to you? Are you starting to feel cold? I'm starting to feel cold. Now, if you're from somewhere warm, don't rub it in. But I will say I love the snow, so that part doesn't bother me. But I'm starting to realize I'm cold and sometimes I just don't want to have to wear a coat. But then again, that is the burden I will have to bear. Anyways, if you happen to be listening or watching on YouTube, make sure you're pressing that subscribe button. And if you are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, make sure you're pressing that follow button to stay up to date on all new episodes. And if you're listening on Spotify, you can cast your vote on what the hot take is. Now, if you want to be part of our Let's Unravel community, you can join our Facebook page at Let's Unravel Podcast, or you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Let's Unravel Pod. There's a lot of exciting things happening over there. You are not going to want to miss it. So head on over there. Now, without any further ado, let's move into our favorite topic here at Let's Unravel, Win of the Week. Guys, I have some exciting news. So I had mentioned last week that back in December, I had batch recorded 3 episodes. And so during that time, some exciting things had happened that I hadn't gotten to tell you guys about. So, which actually, if you were on our Instagram page, you would know what I'm about to say. But Let's Unravel got a podcast shout out from Podcast Cafe. Now, the reason why we got a shout out from Podcast Cafe is because one of our friends here at Let's Unravel, Abigail from Beautiful Legacy, she was actually on Podcast Cafe, and the interviewer had asked her, hey, what are some of your favorite podcast shows? And she said, Let's Unravel. And she said a lot of other really, really nice things. And so a big thank you to you, Abigail. That was awesome. And I will link Podcast Cafe in the show notes down below. If you want to hear all the really nice things Abigail said about Let's Unravel, I will put the timestamp of that review in the show notes. You're not going to want to miss it. I thought it was pretty cool. Now, I will say I forgot to give you an update in last week's episode, but guys, my Christmas wish was that, okay, I have a funny story. My Christmas wish was I wanted to get 100 subscribers by Christmas. And let me tell you, I did it. I got 100 subscribers on the Let's Unravel podcast YouTube channel on Christmas Day. But then YouTube ended up going through and did a cleaning, like an audit on YouTube accounts that aren't active or aren't used frequently. And apparently I had 3 bot accounts that were following Let's Unravel. And literally, I think I had 100 subscribers for maybe an hour. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, I see the number drop to 97 subscribers. And I was like, this is crazy. Then I had gotten back to 100, and in which none of these bot accounts were me. I'm going to tell you that right now. I didn't inflate our numbers. And now knowing that YouTube is very aware on what accounts are fake and which ones are real, you couldn't do that even if you tried. Otherwise, you'd be spending a lot of time trying to make legitimate YouTube channels. Actually, I bet you could probably oh my goodness, that's why it's called buying followers. Wow. The more things you know. I never put 2 and 2 together. Anyways, so that was something I realized. I'm like, I either had a troll who was trolling me because 97 subscribers got to 100 and dropped back down to 97. Or but anyways, needless to say, the channel is now at over 100 subscribers. We did it. We did it technically by Christmas, but then we did it again before New Year's Eve. And so big thank you to all of you. So glad to have you here at the Let's Unravel community. Now, guys, I would love to hear some of the ways that you're winning throughout the week. So drop some comments down below, join our Facebook page, and I will be starting to post weekly about ways that you are winning so you can comment down below. And honestly, I would love to start reading some of your wins so that you have a platform where when something super exciting happens to you, you have a place that other people are going to be like, yeah. So glad. Anyways, and also your win could be something like you got a free cup of coffee at Starbucks. When my birthday was in November, I was really excited about my free cup of coffee. And okay, guys, I have another good thing for you. Okay, so if you have a noodling company near you and you sign up for one of their accounts, on your birthday, you can get a free small entree. My favorite dish right there right now is they have garlic ramen. It is my new obsession. And you can get a large bowl of these garlic ramen noodles for I think it was $8 or $9, but it's really good. Surprisingly really good. Noodling Company has really leveled up their menu. Anyways, okay, I've gone on about literally all kinds of stuff for long enough. So let's move into our topic of the week. What are we unraveling today? Let's unravel finding your place, or should I say leaning into your niche. So I previously did an episode back at the end of August about like my niche interests. But this episode is super special and completely different because this isn't about my niche interests. And this is actually about focusing on the parts of your personality that is actually quite niche. And the best part about all of this is whatever sets you apart can be the thing that ends up having the most value for you. But that's if you can learn how to execute it right. Okay, so let's talk about the obvious. Finding your place. Everyone at some point in their life comes to this point where you want to know, where do I fit? Where is my place? And a lot of times what happens is the things that set us apart are usually the things that make us feel like we don't belong. The things that make you feel like you don't belong are actually your superpower. It's the thing that is going to not only, yes, it sets you apart, but it's also going to provide you with an incredible amount of value. And the reason why is because not everybody has this. And so that is something where, like, let's look at our world today. We look at all these celebrities in Hollywood. We look at these entrepreneurs. And one thing that is universal around any person that is standing in a position of authority, someone that is standing in the limelight, or someone that is able to stand in front of others and motivate them, is that they've all been at this one moment in time where they were trying to find their place. They didn't quite fit, and they wanted to know how they fit in the world. What was kind of, quote unquote, what was their purpose? And the one underlying thing they all have in common, again, is it's not until you learn to let go, meaning you let go of the concept of trying to fit in. Because the truth is, and I think this is a perfect example, is let's look at TikTok. TikTok is one of the first social media platforms that has changed the game on social media platforms. Why? The For You page. It's for you. It sounds so simple, sounds so easy, but for you. This algorithm is all based on what you like. Where you think about Instagram, where you would only see the content of the people you followed. Then you only saw ads. Then you only saw, and it was all these things the platform wanted you to see. But then what happened? TikTok stepped into the market because they brought a very niche interest into play. It was all about you. It was all about what are your interests. Next thing you know, the person that loves cat videos is seeing cat video after cat video after cat video. But then what was also cool is the person that was obsessed with woodworking was seeing woodworking video after woodworking video. And the person that was obsessed with food, aka me, I'm seeing all of these cooking videos. But that is what made TikTok a success, was this aspect of it wasn't about who you were following. It actually gave a platform to, honestly, everybody. And that was the turning point within social media. And because of TikTok, we have had a whole different wave of revolution of what social media looks like, all because of TikTok. You look at Instagram, now they have Reels. You go to Facebook, same thing. You go to YouTube, you got YouTube Shorts. Why? Because they saw that TikTok was leaning into a whole niche they never even knew existed. Why? Because it was all about you. And that was the value. You. Now, moving into a deeper part of this whole TikTok theory is when we look at Gen Z, something they value is authenticity. You see that on TikTok. Who are the people that are building brands for themselves? Who are the people that are building audiences for themselves? It's the people that are being authentic. They're leaning into who they are. And so that is the superpower. But you know what's so interesting is because authenticity is really the currency that TikTok is going after, you also see the reason why TikTok is going after that is because that is the currency that Gen Z values the most. Whereas when you look at millennials or you think about time periods such as the 90s, early 2000s, and even like the 2010s, these were time frames where people really wanted to fit in. And the reason why people really wanted to fit in, obviously people want to fit in now, but it was even more crucial that you wanted to fit in because what happened is during those time frames, you were ostracized for having these quote unquote niche interests. It wasn't as accepted as it would be nowadays. Why? Because once again, you go onto TikTok and all of a sudden you can find your community of people where you wouldn't have found them in the 90s, early 2000s, or 2010s unless you randomly got lucky enough that you lived around people or whatever the case may be. Like a perfect example is I was in high school during the 2010s and I remember I was obsessed with Taylor Swift, and even though there was Swifties, it wasn't what it's like today. And in fact, I got made fun of a lot for liking Taylor Swift, but that was an instance where I didn't have a lot of people that aligned with this idea that, oh, we love Taylor Swift. Oh, we want to go to her concerts. The only time I would see other people that liked Taylor Swift was when I went to Taylor Swift concerts. And so it's the very same thing. Now you think about TV shows like Stranger Things. This is all about Dungeons and Dragons. That's what that show was about. Wasn't always a super popular concept unless you happened to go to a school where they had a D&D team or whatever the case may be. And even another great example is you think about the TV show Glee. It's all about a Glee club. Now, Glee wasn't a very well or wide accepted something until all of a sudden this show comes out. Now, the thing that I've observed the most in these instances is until there is like a massive highlight of something, it's not really seen as being cool, or honestly, it's not seen with value, so it's not cool. Whereas today, things are so different. Because once again, we're living in a time period, we're living in a generation where Gen Z cares about authenticity. Even now, when you're listening, you could be like, yeah, I care about authenticity. One of my favorite things when I go to buy things, I love to buy from brands that have authenticity. I'm getting sick and tired of going to the same old retail stores. I'm getting sick and tired of going to Amazon all the time. When I buy things, I want it to mean something. And that is the most beautiful part about Gen Z. And that is something that we don't give them enough credit for. Now, I want you to hold on to a visual in your head. I want you to think of the TV show Friends, where you have 6 completely different characters, but let's focus on the girls. So you look at someone like Monica. She's got her quirks. She's obsessed with cleaning. And then you look at Rachel, and she is obsessed with fashion and clothes and all these things. And then you look at Phoebe, and she is obsessed with music and just people as a whole. All 3 of the girls, vastly different. But you look at their experiences. Let's look at Monica and Rachel, and let's look at their high school experience. Monica didn't fit in. Why? Because she didn't have the conventional body type. She struggled with her weight. Whereas you look at Rachel was the cheerleader. She fit in. All the guys wanted her. So it's almost like when you start to look at the starting line, you could be thinking, well, Rachel has more going for her. She's cool. She seems like she kind of knows what's going on. But then you look at someone like Monica and she's struggling. But what happens when all of a sudden you take them out of high school, they're in adulthood, where all of a sudden when we start to enter in season 1 of Friends, what is something that we instantly know what's going on? Rachel enters the scene and she is completely lost. She's running away from getting married. She's coming to New York City. And when she finds Monica, where's Monica at? Monica has a job. She's working as a chef or she's working within a kitchen. And ultimately, when you look at the 2 girls, where you would have thought maybe Rachel would have had her life a little bit more together because she had an upper leg in high school, wasn't necessarily true. And actually, Rachel looked to be quite unhappy with her life, whereas Monica, a little bit more settled, doing something that she enjoys. Maybe she doesn't feel settled, but she's actually a lot more well-adjusted than Rachel is. So let's move further along in this idea of finding your place, and we can continue to look back at Rachel and Monica. And so using Monica as an example, even when she was in high school, she loved to cook. You see the episodes of when Chandler and Ross would come back from college and Monica would be making them food. And so step 1 about trying to find your place is whether you're trying to find your place as far as friends go, or whether you're trying to find your place maybe like in the world, career-wise, all these different things. So I want you to ask yourself this question. What is something that comes easy to you? Because what might come easy to you might actually be something that someone else has to work hard towards. So example, Monica. Cooking was something that she enjoyed. It was something that kind of came easy to her. That wasn't the case for Rachel. I mean, gosh, we saw the trifle episode to prove that very point. Cooking wasn't a skill set for her, but it was a skill set for Monica. So once Monica identified cooking was her niche, and that was something she could lean into and she could find purpose in, what happens? She's actually able to make friends either within the industry that she enjoys working in, or she finds friends that can value and appreciate what it is that she's good at. So even the perfect example about how just Friends, the whole show, what is something that's valued? Even Ross, when it's like, oh, Monica makes me my favorite Thanksgiving leftover sandwich. He values what she does, and it's something that ultimately he gets the benefit from. But it's the same thing even with Joey. He loves food, but it works so well with the dynamic of Joey and Monica and all the other friends. Why? Because he enjoys eating. She loves to cook. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, she's making all the Thanksgiving meals. They're celebrating the holidays together. But it was because she knows what her purpose is and what the things are that she enjoys. And so when she was creating a friend group, she found people that valued what she did. Now, if you want to look at it on the flip side, we can look at someone like Rachel. She didn't know what she wanted to do. And so she thought she was going to live a conventional lifestyle that everyone else before her lived. But it wasn't until she changed her entire flow. She made a massive pivot. And that is something I want you to be very aware of. There are some people in life where they're going to be like a Monica, where they're going to kind of always know what it is that they want to do. And then there's going to be the Rachels in the world where they didn't really know necessarily what they wanted to do. And it's a little bit of a bumpy ride to get there. And that is where when you see, look at Rachel, she comes into season 1 of Friends. She doesn't know what she wants to do. She starts working at a coffee shop. She works at that coffee shop for a couple of seasons. She doesn't start working in fashion till almost like the middle of the show. And I think that's a really important part to lean into, is it's not even by the time the show ends and she's getting these job offer about going to Paris and working in fashion, that was the end result. But don't forget, Friends was 10 seasons long. So from season 1, she didn't know that in season 10, she'd be given the opportunity to go to Paris to potentially work in fashion. So going back to the heart of step 1 and identifying. So Monica knew that she liked to cook. So she leaned into that and decided that she was going to go to culinary school and start working in a kitchen and all these different things. So it worked out for her because, cooking, it was a set career path that she could take and take those natural steps. Now, let's say you're kind of more like Rachel, where it's like, well, yeah, I like to work in fashion, but like, I didn't know I needed to go to fashion school. I didn't know I needed to do all these different things. And so I have a really great visual that I want you to look at. There's this diagram. Now, typically this diagram is used in like business marketing or just more of like identifying like a niche within a market, but you can use this idea in life. You can use this whether in figuring out a career, trying to find your friends, really trying to find your place. And so in one of these circles, you'll see identify a passion, which a passion can be an interest. Now, I don't want you to lose sight. Now, something that people talk about all the time is like, don't chase your passions or passions this and da-da-da-da, whatever the case is. I don't want you to be so focused on this idea of passion. The idea is that you want to find something that you are interested in. An interest like something that you ask questions about. What do you want to know more about? A perfect example is when I was in like high school and when I even graduated from high school, I loved business. I was asking questions about business all the time. And so that was something that I started to realize I have an interest. I have a passion for business. And this is something that is very easy to adapt into a variety of different jobs. And so you see that again with Monica. She liked to cook. That was her interest. And there it goes. It would be in that first box. The next box is, what does your audience want? So another idea to think of this is a market need. What is something that the world needs? What is a problem you could solve? So perfect example, you need to eat. So Monica, she likes to cook. People need to eat. Boom. Like that's what you'd put. People need to eat. Now for Rachel, it would be people need clothes. And so once again, going back to your interests, if you're someone that's really good at math, what are things that people need math for? Accounting, taxes, whatever you need math for, that type of thing. So this next circle is, what is your strength? What is a skill set that you have? What is something that you are insanely good at that everyone else kind of struggles to kind of be good at, or they have to work really hard to be good at? And this is the thing. Maybe you're someone that's not good at a lot of things, but everyone is good at least one thing. Don't undervalue what you're good at. And for any of you that are listening, I just want to clear the air up because obviously I'm showing this visual on YouTube, and if you're not watching, it'd be very confusing. But these 3 circles that are overlapping, it's like a Venn diagram. So where all 3 of the circles end up overlapping, creating that one tiny little circle in the middle, that is going to be like your golden spot. That is the point that we're trying to get to. So going back to our Venn diagram, so we've gone through identifying your interest, your passion. We've gone through what does the audience want? So like what's a problem you can solve? We've gone through what are your strengths? And so now we have all 3 of those circles aligned. And what is the sweet little spot that is the common ground between all 3 of those things? This is going to be your golden spot. So in that instance, when we're thinking about someone like Monica, her passion, she enjoys cooking. What is something that like the audience needs? What is it that the market wants? Well, they need to eat. And then third, what is her strength? Well, she's really good. She has a natural ability to cook. So her golden spot would be to be like a chef and it could be anything from being like a chef cooking in a restaurant. And that's where, once again, it goes back to finding the strengths. It goes back to finding where your passions are. Because if she was someone that she only liked to cook, she would only ever cook in a restaurant. If she was someone that had some business savviness to her, or she had an interest in business, then maybe it could be she could run a restaurant because she knows what it is that she wants. So a quick little caveat. This feels overwhelming. This feels daunting. I totally get it. I'm going to be honest. I have filled out all kinds of these Venn diagrams trying to find my place within the world. But ultimately, there is no experience that you're going to get that's better than just starting, than just getting out there. That is probably the biggest thing that I would say. That is the thing that I have always had to do. When I was in high school, there was two things I was passionate about. I wanted to go to film school and I loved business. I started to look into going to film school, realized it was super duper expensive. And I was like, you know what? I just don't want to be in debt the rest of my life. That was something that I put a higher value on than trying to get into film production. And so I decided, I was like, maybe I should lean more into business. And so I remember in one of my electives for my senior year, I took a business class and I started to realize, I was like, wow, I really enjoy business. It wasn't until I graduated high school and I was trying to do online classes and I got so annoyed with doing online college classes that I was like, you know what? I'm dropping out of college classes. That lasted for 3 days. But I was like, I am a hands-on learner. I need to get into a business and just see how it operates. So next thing you know, I applied to work at a retail store and I ended up working there for about 3 years. And within my time there, I had gotten to work in every single position of the store. I became a supervisor. I was a trainer. I did all of these different positions and I loved working in that store because it was all about business. It just was about business in different degrees and different angles. And that was something where in my mind, I always thought I would have had to go to college to really understand, but it wasn't necessarily just having to go to college. It was about just having to start. Ultimately, I always say, you know you the best. If you know that you're a hands-on learner like I was, go get a job at a retail store, go get an internship. Internships, jobs, they are the best. I have learned so many things from having hands-on experience in a variety of different industries, and you will always pick up and take something with you to go to the next place. And so ultimately, just start. So even doing a YouTube channel, TikTok, a podcast, starting will make you better. And having accountability for those things will increase your longevity of it and also boost your confidence. But also on top of all of it, if you don't start, you'll never change. You have to do it before you're ready. You will never feel ready. That is one common thing I hear all the time when people talk about having kids, when people talk about having businesses. You never feel ready. You will never feel ready. There's never a good time to start something, to leap into something new. The only mindset you have to change is just being ready to learn things on the fly. You have to be okay with everything is not going to be perfect. And in the words of my mom, you just have to have joy in the journey. And my words of wisdom is you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. It won't throw you off balance otherwise. So now that we've identified your interest, your passion, something else that is going to be a beautiful part of all of this is as you identify that and you become confident in knowing this is what I'm passionate about, this is the curiosity I have for whatever industry this is or whatever the case might be, but this is where your curiosity lies. You have to start to embrace the idea of things evolving. Change is a good thing. So even with starting a podcast, what I thought it was going to look like, it's going to evolve and change over time. What I thought I was going to do with film production, I thought film production would look like movies. I thought it would look like writing scripts. And then over time, it slowly evolved and it changed. And the thing is, I always thought change would be a bad thing, but it's not. It's actually such a beautiful and incredibly great thing. Even going back to the example of Rachel, she started in a coffee shop and it wasn't until after a couple of seasons, then she started to work at Bloomingdale's. And so even working at Bloomingdale's, she's working in a department store. And that was something where if she didn't allow herself to evolve, if she didn't allow herself to change, she wouldn't be getting to the next job promotion. She wouldn't have been getting to working more in a corporate role. And that is something that is the beauty about the evolving and the changing. So even though she went to New York City, even though she started working in a coffee shop, even though she started working in Bloomingdale's, she didn't know going from working in one specific department within Bloomingdale's would eventually catapult her into working more of a corporate role within another fashion company. And that is the beauty of, once again, it's about evolving, it's changing, and you don't know what's going to evolve. You don't know what's going to change along the way. But when you allow yourself to be open to it, when you allow yourself to embrace the journey of it all, that's when you get new possibilities, you get new opportunities But the thing is, you have to be open to it. You have to know what the right things are to say yes to, and you have to know what the right things are to say no to. It goes back to this idea of you can't please everybody. When you have your eye on the prize of the thing that you do want to do, it makes it a lot easier to understand what the things are to say yes to. So on an important side note, when you have your eye on the prize, when you know what it is that you want to do, and so this is where I think Rachel is a perfect visualization of this idea. When you have your eye on the prize of you know what it is that you want to do, she knows she wants to work in more of the corporate end of fashion where she gets to pick out the designs, where she gets to have more of a say of what's going on. You have to do the crappy jobs that nobody else wants to do because those are the jobs that helps build you towards getting to the job that you actually want. That is something that, once again, Cody Sanchez always says that I've quoted her multiple times, where she would say, you have to do the crappy, grunty jobs nobody else wants to do so you can eventually have the job that you do want to do. It's the same thing like when I had wanted to work in film production. Everyone starts as a PA. At some point in time, you will be a PA because you have to understand certain fundamentals so that when by the time you are the director, by the time you are the producer, you understand how a film set runs, it flows together. It's the same thing in any industry you work in. You look at lawyers, they all come in at ground levels and you have to work your way up because once you get to those senior roles, now you know how everything works, how it all flows together, and it's for the best. And once you understand what it is that you want and you have that goal set in your mind, it at least makes those crappy jobs, the jobs that you hate, a lot more tolerable. You only want to be concerned when you're in a job that you absolutely hate and there's no light at the end of the tunnel. I'm talking about you're in your 9-to-5 job, you absolutely hate it, and there's not a promotion that you're looking for, that you're like, well, I'm just collecting a paycheck. I look forward to the weekends. That's when you should be concerned. But if you're in a job where you're like, this is just for a season, I'm going to eventually get out of this season. I'm going to get to this promotion. I'm going to, and like I said, there's certain moments and times where you have to make assessments. If you were supposed to get a job promotion and you didn't get it and you're going on year 2, 3, 4, then you should be concerned. If you're someone that you just graduated college, you're in this new job role, and all of a sudden you're like, I hate it. Unfortunately, everybody hates the first job they get. It's the marking periods. It's the beginning points. You have to put the time in to reap the rewards because ultimately that is the thing that gives you credibility. And so now going back to leaning into your niche, to finding your purpose, a number one underlying thing, everyone wants to belong. It's in our DNA. We all want to belong. We all want to be accepted. And then what is the other thing? Everyone wants purpose. And ultimately, these two things, it's up to you to find it. It's up to you to find where you belong. It's up to you to figure out what your purpose is. There's some part of us that innately knows what's going to work for us. Because once you find it, it's the industry is that lights you up, that gets you excited. You know it's for you because those are the conversations that excite you. They motivate you. It's like finding the right people. When you find the right group of friends, when you leave feeling energetic. You don't leave feeling drained. You don't feel crappy. You don't feel these things. And those are the things your body is giving you signs for the things that are actually working for you. And when you can lean into those things, that's when you're going to start to find where you belong within all of it. And also from a firsthand experience, when I had started working at a startup, I finally found people that it was like, oh my goodness, like I click with people. They understand the way that I think. It was for the first time I was working with people where it was like, I felt like I finally belonged. That was the biggest thing that I realized. All these other industries I had worked in, they were great. I met amazing people along the way, but I never felt like I belonged. It wasn't until I started working in a startup and I started working with all of these people and they were the best at whatever they were doing. And to sit and to get to talk to them, I finally felt like I belonged. I didn't feel like an outsider. I didn't feel less than. I felt like I fit perfectly with whatever we were doing. And so that is something where if you can figure out what the career thing is that fits for you, you can find your friends sometimes from that career. Sometimes when you find the friends, that's when you find the career. It's like these two things can play directly into each other. And when you get both of those things to align, that's when you start to feel that fulfillment of life. But once again, that is always up to you. You can have fulfillment before you reach those things because once again, it goes back to that joy and the journey moment. And even as like a small caveat on the side, so finding your people doesn't mean they don't challenge you. Sometimes finding your people means they do challenge you, because challenging you is actually a great thing. It pulls out more of the good stuff in you. But ultimately, what I would say is, after working in a variety of industries, I've observed everyone works and operates differently. Some people help refine us. Some people assist with our vision. Those who found enjoyment and were passionate about their work, those were the people that you couldn't compete with. They worked harder, but the reason why was because they had this obsession. They had a love of the game. And the thing is, you want to find that something that you have a love of a game for. So if you are someone that loves business, it's a love of the game. And that is something that you can't compete with. And once again, stop competing with people. You shouldn't even be trying to compete with people, even though, it's the human nature. We do it inevitably. Ultimately, I would say lean more into the conversations that you find excitement from, where you feel inquisitive. But ultimately, when you're trying to find your place and you're trying to lean into your niche, don't forget to focus on the things that interest you, value your skill set, and solve a problem. When you can identify those three things, that's when you're going to find your golden spot. And ultimately, that's when you'll start to feel like you belong. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me and talking all about finding your place or leaning into your niche interest. So I'd love to connect with you more. You can connect with us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Let's Unravel Pod. If you enjoyed this week's show or the podcast show in general, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and now Facebook. Your comments and 5-star ratings go a very long way. Also, please don't forget to hit subscribe or follow wherever you might listen so you can stay up to date on all new episodes. We release new episodes every single Thursday, and you are not going to want to miss a thing. Well, I guess it's that time of the episode to tell you my hot take. Is ABC Family elite television? Because Freeform will never compare. I'm going to be honest. ABC Family is definitely elite television. Ever since Freeform, it's never been the same. And most importantly, ABC Family has had the best shows. I mean, you think about Pretty Little Liars, you think about Baby Daddy, and let's not forget just the shows they've canceled alone. I still think about Jane by Design. That was one of the best shows. We only got 2 seasons. You know what? They need to bring it back. Or maybe they shouldn't bring it back, but I will never forgive them for canceling that show. Needless to say. Freeform? Freeform who? Totally forgot. And also, I loved ABC Family's 25 Days of Christmas. Then Freeform came in and didn't have that same feel. That's my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Anyways, that's all. Talk to you later. Bye.